get lost. मैं घूम जाता हूँ. And my family members advertise or put a note in the newspapers and magazines or even on the television. The one who finds our son will be given a cash reward of 50,000. You find me and hand it over or hand me over to my family. They give you 50,000. Is it liable to service tax? Now, if this would have been the case before 1st of July 2012, nothing was taxable. But this date, the sunset clause for the positive list-based taxation and the birth of negative list-based taxation came upon. From 1st July 2012 onwards, there is a paradigm shift in the taxability of service tax. Prior to 1st July 2012, only identified services were taxable. That is, 119 services were made taxable. Law said we want to tax, but only 119. All other services are exempted. But on 1st July 2012, taking example and learning from all other countries, they said every service is now taxable except a few. So prior to 1st July, you handing me over to my family was not in that 119 list. But after that, from 1st July onwards, 2012 onwards, handing over to me is not excluded, or you handing over me to my family is not excluded. So it automatically gets taxable. Another example can be taken from your hospitality industry itself. I have seen at restaurants, you have these singers, the ghazal singers or the singers come and sing. They entertain the guests. Let's say suppose currently I am singing over here, and you are very much moved by one of the songs that I have sung. You would like to give me 100 rupee note. Sir, आपने बहुत अच्छा गाया, ये हमारे तरफ से token रखिए. I accept the token. Prior to 1st July 2012, what is the situation? And post 1st July 2012, what is the situation? Prior to 1st July 2012, me singing, was it a service? Yes, but was it a taxable service? So in the list of 119, my activity was not there. But after 1st July 2012, what has happened? They say everything is taxable except a few. So now my singing has to be seen whether I am in that few or not. If I am in the few, not taxable. But that, unfortunately, I am not in that few. So what will happen? I will say, sir, you are happy, very good, I'll take the note, but also give me the service tax. Only then the service tax department will be happy. So now, when you give me or any singer, definitely 12.36 भी आपको साथ में देना पड़ेगा, वरना वो गाना बंद कर देगा. Right? So service tax has gone deep into the life, and you will never come to know when it hits you. Therefore, it is very, very imperative to know first the structure of the service tax law, then a particular industry, and then we have to see how it fits into the industry. So service tax law is structured in a particular manner. Many of us will be complying or dealing with service tax laws, but again, just as a clarity, how is the service tax law structured? Service tax law का ढांचा क्या है? अगर वो एक साथ, if you see it on one screen, you will have a better clarity and you will be able to apply that to your industry clearly. So what I have done is, I have given the structure of the service tax law. I have tried to analyze whatever activities the hospitality industry is having, and then we'll see one by one how service tax law applies. And then in between, whatever are the case laws or whatever are the circulars or notifications which are impacting you, I'll go on taking one by one. Fine? Notes have been circulated to you. Those notes are summarized and covered in the PowerPoint presentation. So you all can, you don't feel left out, okay, the slide is over, something you will be missing out, but everything is contained in the notes. So I'll just begin with the entire structuring of the service tax law. Then I'll take industry, and one by one we'll go on relate. Fine? After 18 years, after 18 long years, we have a definition of service. Service tax came on 1st of April 1994 with 3 services with 5% tax. We read, we could not find a service tax law without the definition of service. And there was no need because only few are taxable, so it was okay to define only that few. But now since everything is exempt, what is the service has to be done. So as a child, becomes eligible to vote after 18 years of age, department also says now the law has matured after 18 years, so now a definition of service can come. 18 long years we've been waiting. But anyway, good. I will not be dealing with the definition of service, but the starting point is whatever activity that we do, is it a service? If it is, then the things will go forward. So first let us understand, अगर सर्विस है तो बात आगे बढ़ेगी, वरना आगे बढ़ेगी नहीं. Let us assume what you do is a service. Then what? What does the service tax law offer thereafter? Service find out whether it is not taxable or not. For that, the law says go and refer the negative list. There are 17 services identified. If your service falls in that negative list, you are not taxable. So what if your service doesn't fall in that 17 category? Don't get disheartened, there is one more chance. You have something called the mega exemptions. There are 39, current budget has made it 40. Good. But they have withdrawn a few, introduced a few. So now the tally is 40 services. Now mega exemptions is nothing but a compilation of exemptions which existed prior to 1st July 2012. There are 119 services, each services had some or the other exemptions. So after the law changed, can they do away with the exemptions at a stretch or in one go? No. Many people may have designed their business based on exemptions. So just the law changes, exemption goes away, one's business and one's entire finances may fail. So law says, we will phase this out in a slow manner. So what they did, all exemptions they compiled and put it into one notification called the mega exemption. So you have a second chance of mega exemptions also. But if you don't fall under these two categories, it's gone. You fall in the taxable category. And in taxable category, they said we have to be cautious. So they created a list called a declared list. There are 9 services in this declared list. Friends, be very careful. Supreme Court of India also will not entertain any argument on this 9 services declared list. The reason is law says these are services, if you argue hard, you can tilt them towards the exemption or the non-taxable part. Law says, I don't want any argument, any sort of a litigation on these 9 services. I am backing it up and it is to be put in the declared list. No arguments, taxable. In excise also we have 35 processes which are defined as amounting to manufacture. You can't argue on those 35 processes. In sales tax also you have declared goods. Law says whatever is prescribed is prescribed. I am not going to listen. It has to happen. Even judges, when we argue cases in the tribunal, sometimes we ask the judge also, so why this limit is only 1 lakh? Judge says, I am nobody to decide whether it should be 1 lakh or 2 lakhs. I am to decide whether it is applicable to you or not applicable to you. So the Babu sitting at the top, they decide this part. So we have to comply. So that is the case. And the other part is the others. The last part is the others. Friends, if you fall in this others category, you are fully taxable. Obviously, declared list also is in the taxable zone, but declared list you cannot argue. On the others, again, if you can't argue, definitely. But in this case, the last portion, the other is the one which is the real taxability which the government has brought about. Everything gets engulfed. So, if I take it back again at one go, first find out whether you have a service, then non-taxable or taxable. If it is not in non-taxable zone, it's taxable. How to find out non-taxable? Go to the negative list. If not over there, one more chance, mega exemptions. Not over there, fully taxable. If it is in the declared list, sorry, you can't argue, it is fully taxable. And the balance, yes. And for this last part, the definition of service becomes very, very important. Now, this is the first phase, the first basic understanding the law has, the structuring the law has given. Now suppose you fall in the exemption zone, the non-taxable zone, matter ends, good. Earn money, don't pay tax, enjoy. But if you fall in the taxable zone, what next? If in the taxable zone, what is the next step that you do? The next step is, you see whether it is taxable in India. Because we are following the Indian tax law, so it should be taxable in India. So I provide a service. If it is exported out of India or it is found to be exported, should I pay tax? No. So I should first find out whether it is taxable in India or not. So where do I go? Law says, go to place of provision of service rules. I have listed 14 rules, follow them, see whether your service falls in there. So friends, you have one more area available where service tax will not be applicable. So even if you fall in the taxable zone, but if you do not provide services which are taxable in India, Possibilities are yes, you provide in India, or no. If it is no, then service tax nahi lagega. But if you fall in the yes category, baat aage badhegi. So, what is the next step? Suppose you provide an activity, it is in the taxable zone and you are providing it in India. What is the next step? Service tax law wants you to do, or what it has prescribed. The next step is classification. Now you will say, what's the need to classify? All services are made taxable, and that too there is only one rate of tax, that is 12%. Why do you need to classify the services? Say for example, I am providing two services together. I am providing tour operator also, and I am also providing say internet services. Will they both be together, or will they be done separately, or what? Let's say I provide singing services also and I provide dancing also. Should they be taxed separately, or should they be taxed combined as an entertainment service? That's the question that will arise. Your tablet which cures somebody, or you manufacture a syrup. Now whether it will be vaccine or whether it will be medicine, that's the problem. That for the customer, you give me vaccine or medicine, I should get cured. But from tax service, wherein there are two activities, and those two activities, one is negative and one is taxable, and I provide them as a combo bundle, then what? When we take the classification as a whole, you will come to know that there are activities which are specified by the law itself as an example. So classification is very important. People take it very lightly. Even in the law, it is written only it's only 3 or 4 sentences, but it creates a havoc. Friends, out of the cases that we solve in our office, it is mind-boggling to see whether it's a combined service or whether they will be offered differently. Let's say plus the food part and a little bit of facilities here and there. So should you be charging for food separately and for renting separately, or is it combined? The law has given the clarification. So for this reason, friends, it's my sincere request, do not neglect classification. And if you are not comfortable with classification, take professional help, please, else the service tax authorities will blow you off. And nowadays, the commissioners which are being appointed, they are young guys. They do believe in proper interpretation and argument. Every week or every fortnight, I have a hearing with the assistant commissioner for some show cause notice and all. पहले के ज़माने में the golden era. Okay, सब पेपर है. अच्छा ये किया है, tax भरा है, थोड़ा बहुत कुछ नीचे माफ. But now the new guys, they say, okay, explain me the entire case. I will do my own research, then I'll get back to you. And they do the research. If, or, and, comma, that also they are interpreting. So, why give them a chance when we can ourselves do it? So that classification. Chalo, classification bhi kar liya. What is the next step? So its service is taxable. It's taxable in India, and I have parked it properly, either singular as a bundle or as different activities. What is the next step? The next step is the one which the industry is most interested in, and that is कितने पे tax लगेगा? Tax लगा ठीक है, but on what amount? Will it be on the entire amount? Will it be part amount? And what? So the next question is, on what amount will I pay the tax? So the valuation issue comes. Now in service tax is payable either on the full value or on the abated value. Certain portion the law says, okay, I am not going to tax you because it relates to something else. So full value पे tax लगेगा या abated value पे, that we have to understand. Valuation भी हो गया. Then what is the next step? The next step is, who will pay the tax? Till now we've been only judging what is the activity, what is the classification, taxable in India or not. Ultimately government will collect the tax. It will collect from whom? Either the service provider or the service receiver. Then service tax is a genuine indirect tax. Genuine by definition. The law says, services you will provide, pay me a tax. Services, how can I pay? I am a non-living thing. So law says, don't worry, I'll collect it either from the provider or from the receiver. I want my tax because service has been provided. That's the real meaning of an indirect tax. So law has clearly given, either I'll collect it from the provider or I will collect it from the receiver. In receiver, as we know, it's called the reverse charge mechanism. Now, if the tax is collected from the service provider, the law gives him an option. Provider, Do you want to pay right from your first rupee, or would you like to wait up to a particular limit that we call as the basic threshold limit? That 10 lakhs rupees, secondly, by notification 33 of 2012. Notification is quite old, 2006 se aa raha hai, but it has been amended for conditions and amount. First it was 4 lakhs, then 8 lakhs, now it is 10 lakhs. So law says, service provider, I will collect tax from you, but I give you an option. Do you want to wait up to 10 lakhs, or you want to pay right from the first rupee?